Hey guys, this is the Epic Gamer Boy here, and today I'm going to be doing a full entire device collection of May 2023. Now this video is done. Now this time this video is going to be kind of a long one because my phone collection has been growing a lot over the past past few weeks because I've been going to bins a lot. Well, mostly Target bins because I'm actually more used to Target bins. I mean, I could try out some other bins, but the thing is that I mean, if I can be able to handle things myself, I could. But anyways, that being started, let's get started with this video. But here's a few things. So this time I'm gonna be doing. So this time, since because my phone collection has been growing a lot over the past couple of weeks. Here's how we're gonna do. So first up, we're gonna start off with the iPhone. So here's almost all my iPhones. Like I'm gonna include the bigger ones, like the pluses, my Face ID iPhones, and some some more. Like after I cut this part of the video. So first we're gonna go through all of these, and then we're gonna go through my bigger iPhones, and then after that we're gonna go through my Android phones and dumb phones, and I will include the iPad and stuff definitely. So first up, first up, the phone I'm recording on right now is an iPhone XR. It's black, 128 GB. The battery health on is 88. Also, for me to showing proof of battery health on the phones I show you, I don't want to this time I'm just going to show you the phones but not turn them on and stuff because then it's going to take a while and I don't want to leak my personal stuff this time. So yeah. Also, one thing I want to show you that I have a random phone part laying right here. It's this random iPhone 7 housing. I got this thing for smashing, but I guess it's cool to keep the housing. But this one's just sitting somewhere in my room, so yeah. Okay, now moving on to the working iPhone. So first up, we have it an iPhone 3GS, 8 GB. It works fully good. I actually found this one in the Target bin because I can tell from here. Next up, we have it another iPhone 3GS. This one's also 8 GB. Works fully good with no issues. This one I actually got in a trade. Works fully good. Next up, we have is a 16 GB iPhone 3GS. This one I actually found at my local Target, where I barely find stuff at. But that time it has been a long time since I went to my local Targets, and then I found this. So this thing used to have a swollen battery, but my friend replaced the battery on this thing, and it works fully good now. Next up, we have is another 3GS. This one is 32 GB black. I got this one in a trade, and it also works fully good. One thing I noticed is that this one actually have a lot of wear, but I mean, if you see back peeling off on iPhone 3Gs or 3GS, it's actually normal. So yeah, maybe maybe a 3GS is only rare if for a really mint condition one, ones with no scratches or back cover, or the wait, the 3GS doesn't have a back cover. I mean the back peeling off and stuff. Next up, we have is an iPhone 4. This is a GSM white one. I had this one for over a year. I had this one for over a year, and it works really good with no issues. Next up, we have is another iPhone 4. This one is also 8 GB, but this one's CMA. Works fully good with no issues. This is one of my best condition iPhone 4s I ever have. Or almost the best. Or I don't know. Or maybe it is cause this one has no chips or anything. Next up, we have another iPhone 4. This one is CDMA white as well, also 8 GB. I got this one on Mercari also about a year ago. Works fully good with no issues. Next up, we have another iPhone 4. This one here is GSM, 16 GB black. This one I actually found this at my local Target as well. As well as this 3GS, but not on the same day. But yeah, it works really good with no issues, and it's nice to have in my collection. Next up, we have is another iPhone 4. This one's also 16 gigabyte. This one's black CDMA. I actually got this one recently because, well, I got it from one of my dad's friends, but it works really good with no issues. It came on 7.1.2, but who cares? It's just an iPhone 4. And I mean, iOS 6 is even like better, but I don't really think it's that rare since I can find a lot still on iOS 6. Next up, we have is another iPhone 4. This one is actually a black GSM iPhone 4. This thing I actually found in like a Target bin. This thing originally came with like a swollen battery in it, so I like parted it out, and then like after a few days later, I found like another iPhone 4. It was a CDMA white one as my first CDMA iPhone 4 I've ever found, since most iPhone 4s I found are GSM. Like, yeah, but that thing was like iCloud locked, so I took the battery out of that one because the back cover on it was like smashed. Or actually, the back itself was cracked really badly in the first place, and it was iCloud locked, so I put the battery onto this one, and it works fully good. Yeah, unfortunately, the original back cover got damaged on this thing due to for like the original swollen battery in it, but lucky I have another back cover on here. Although it doesn't really fit properly because the part on it also got damaged, but it works, but it doesn't really affect the phone. It works fully good. This one's 16 gigabyte GSM black. Next up, we have is a iPhone 4S. This one's white, 16 gigabyte. Works fully good with no issues. Next up, we have is a iPhone 4S, 32 gigabyte black. Oh, I was using this thing earlier. Let's just make sure no personal things show up. Yeah, this one is 32 gigabyte. This one's 32 gigabyte black. Works fully good. Next up, we have is an iPhone 5, 16 gigabyte slate black. It works fully good with no issues. No chips as well, maybe besides a little bit here. I actually like the slate black iPhone 5. I mean, I do heard that these can scratch easily, but this one's in really good condition. Next up, we have is a white iPhone 5. This one's also 16 gigabyte, but this one's in like a nice blue OtterBox case. I got this case from my friend, so as a case on this iPhone 4. But I actually like OtterBox cases because they're like because they can be protective sometimes. They're actually like really protective. But yeah, I used to have like a regular OtterBox case like a year ago, but unfortunately that one broke, but it's nice to have another one again. Next up, we have is an iPhone 5C, pink, 32 gigabyte, works fully good with no issues. Next up, we have is another iPhone 5C, white, 32 gigabyte, works fully good with no issues. Next up, we have is a blue iPhone 5C, works fully good with no issues. Also, the blue case on here matches the phone, which is really nice. Next up, we have is a iPhone 5S. This one's 16 gigabyte space gray. I have so many space gray 5S's, so that's why sometimes I can get confused on which one's which. But yeah, this one works really good with no issue. I think I had it for over a year. Next up, we have another 5S. This one's 32 gigabyte, remember, because it came with its original box. But works fully good with no issues. This one here we have another 5S. These two cases does feel similar. But yeah, this one is 32 gigabyte space gray as well. Actually, I made an unboxing video of when I got this thing like 2 months ago, I believe. Yeah. Next up, we have is a silver iPhone 5S. This one I actually had for over a year. I think I bought this to like on vacation with me like once. But yeah, it's in like really good condition. I actually do, and that's also a nice Tech 21 case. I actually do like silver iPhone 5Ss. I like space gray too, but I actually like all the colors for like the iPhone 5Ss because they look cool. Next up, we have is another iPhone 5S. This one's 64 gigabyte space gray. I also have this one had this one for over a year and it works fully good. No issue. Next up, you have an iPhone SE first gen, 64 GB silver. This I had this one for over a year. I got this thing in a trade like a year ago. This phone here is 64 GB, works fully good with no issues. Oh, also the battery health on this one is 80, 83. Yeah, it used to be at 84, but it dropped. Next up, we have is an iPhone 64 GB silver. This one I actually found in like the Target bin. Has a little chip down here, but it doesn't really affect the phone that much. But yeah, this thing works fully good with no issue. The battery health on this one is 95, which is actually really good. Or is it? Actually, I would say it's really good because it doesn't really die that fast. Here we have another iPhone 6. This one is 64 GB space gray. This one I actually got it on like Walmart in used condition. This one, the battery health on here is like 83 and it has unexpected shutdown, but it is in good condition with screen protector and stuff. Next up, we have the iPhone 6s 64 GB space gray. Now, this phone I actually got it from one of my close friends, the Great Gamer. This phone has been through so much actually, so. When I first got this thing, the battery health was at like 93, I remember. But then after like I broke this thing actually had like an aftermarket screen on here, but when I cracked it, and after another while, the battery health on here was at 86. But then I got it like replaced to like 100. But then the camera on this thing stopped working. But then I actually opened this up after like about a year later, realizing the camera was not putting properly, so I was somehow able to do it. And after a while after that, the battery health actually dropped because the battery was like aftermarket with 100, so it went from like 100 all the way down to like 74, which is like wow. 74. I mean, as long as the phone works good, I'd still take it and keep it and stuff. But yeah, I had this phone for a really long time. And yeah. Next up we have the okay, wait, before that, the battery health on this one's 74 now. Okay, so next up we have the iPhone 7 Gold 128 GB. This one I actually found in the Target bin. Unfortunately, this thing had loop disease and the camera on this thing is a bit messed up. So this thing is only good for like gaming, playing games, listening to music, or watching YouTube. So yeah. Next up, we have another iPhone 7. This one is 128 GB black. 100% battery health, fully working. This is actually my main iPhone 7. Next up, you have oh yeah. Oh, okay, so the battery health. So the battery health on this one's 93. Battery health on my main iPhone 7 is still 100. Okay, now we'll move on to the down row. So next up, so here we have an iPhone 8, 256 GB gold. This is actually the longest devices I have in my collection. I had this thing since like July 2021. Almost or actually it is almost 2 years, or it's almost 2 months until July. So well, there's 2 months away until July this year, so yeah, I would say it's almost 2 years. But yeah, I actually kept this in really good condition. I used to have like a gray OtterBox case for this, but that case kind of broke. Also, most of these cases I have are from like Five Below, except for like the iPhone 5 ones. So yeah. So the battery health on this thing was like 81, but it then dropped to like 78. But it works good with no issues. Next up, you have another iPhone 8. This one's product red, 256 GB. Actually, these two are like one of my favorite iPhone 8s out of like all the colors I have. Yeah, this one I actually got it on Christmas. It works. It's 256 GB and the battery health is like 81 on here. Unfortunately, the Taptic engine on this thing is a little bit bad, so but it works fine overall. Next up, we have is another iPhone 8. This one's 256 GB space gray. This one I got it like last year summer. I actually got this one like last year summer because that's because I had my gold one for a long time and I want to like at least have like another color with it. So yeah, and then after that I started to collect like all the colors for like the iPhone 8. So which I'll get into. So next up, is this iPhone 8. This one right here. I actually got this one on my birthday from one of my mom's friend. This thing has actually been like barely used, and it actually came up with the original box. But yeah, it's nice. This one's 64 GB silver unlocked, so yeah. So down here, all these iPhone 8 are 256 GB 64. Next up, you have them. Oh, by the way, I got this one. I got the red one on Christmas along with like the iPhone 10Rs I'm recording on. So I guess the Christmas for like 2022 was actually not a bad year so far. Next up, we have the iPhone SE second gen. This one's 256 GB black. Works fully good with no issue. The battery health on this one is... Hold on a second. I'm so sorry, guys. I keep forgot to mentioning about the battery health and stuff. So this one's 78, this one's 81, this one's 100, and this one's 100 because this one's barely used. Except this one has an aftermarket battery. This one still has the original battery because this one dies a little bit faster. Because the battery on this one's like replaced, and this one has been barely used before I got it. So yeah, so this SE second gen is 86% battery health, works fully good with no issues. Here we have another iPhone SE second gen. This one I actually had it for had it for a really long time, since October 2021. It's actually really nice. Fun fact about this phone: when I first got this phone, it used to still have like Apple Care with it. It still had like warranty on it when I bought it in like used condition, but I think that thing just lasted until like June of last year, June 2022, and yeah, the battery health on it now is like 93, but it works fully good with no issues. I actually did trade this to like my friend Elias from Meowtech, but he traded it back, and it's nice to have this again. Next up we have is another iPhone 8. I mean, not iPhone 8, sorry, iPhone SE second gen. This one's 128 GB product red. It works fully good with no issue. Also, this one I actually got it like almost on Christmas, and same thing with this one, except this one was like a week later before. This one was actually a few weeks later before Christmas, and this one was like a week before Christmas. But yeah, the battery health on this one's 87. And next up we have is an iPhone 12 mini. This is my main phone. 64 GB, battery health is 86. I can actually show you it. Yeah, it's 86. Unfortunately, it kind of dies fast, so But I mean, why do I still main this if it dies fast? Well, that's because I I like 5G and stuff. That's because I still like using 5G and stuff because 5G is like faster and stuff. Okay, so now we're gonna like move on to like the bigger iPhones. So I'll get back to you once I set those up. All right, guys. All right, guys. So let's continue with this because I got like the rest of the stuff sorted out. After this, I'm gonna go through like my Android devices like dumb phones and then my iPad. So so over here we have the iPhone 6 Plus. Phone is this thing is 128 gigabyte gold, 128 gigabyte 128 gigabyte gold. I almost said 120 for a sec, but it's 128 gigabyte gold. Battery health is like not good unfortunately because it's 73 and it dies fast if unexpected shutdowns. But it works fully good with no issues. I used to have a space gray one, but that thing broke. Next up we have is a iPhone 6s Plus Gold, 64 gigabyte. This thing used to have like 74% health, but my friend like replaced the battery on it. I actually traded this to him and he traded me back, and it's actually like really nice. Next up we have is another iPhone 6s Plus. This one's also 64. The battery health on this one is like 78. I actually had this one for like a long time, or since like December 2021. But yeah, it works fully good with no issues. Yeah. Next up, we have another iPhone 6s Plus. This thing is silver, 64 gigabyte. Battery health is also 100 on it, but the battery on this one doesn't really last that long. Oh, and also, fun fact, I have almost all the colors of the iPhone 6s Plus. I'm only missing like rose gold. I used to have a rose gold 6s, like a long time ago. And yeah, maybe one day I might try to get like a rose gold iPhone 6s Plus again so I can have all the colors just like I did with like the 8. But yeah, next up, yeah, there's the iPhone 7 Plus rose gold 128 gigabyte. This phone is like scratched up, but it works fully good. But sometimes sometimes when I like type stuff on it, it's a bit hard, and it's a bit hard to type like a full word properly. Or actually, I think most of the part it works okay with no issues. Besides sometimes the touchscreen being like not want to respond sometimes when I try to like type in stuff. But yeah, the battery health on this one's like 83. It works fully. There's no issues. It used to be at like 85, but it dropped. Next up, we have an iPhone 8 Plus. This 256 gigabyte gold. Battery health is 83. Works fully good with no issues. It has this nice pop socket case. I actually got this pop socket at my local Target because I kind of barely find stuff there, so I got bored of those and start shopping there. Next up, we have is another iPhone 8 Plus. This one's actually MDM bypassed. You've probably seen it before. 64 gigabyte, space gray, works fully good with no issues. This phone is like MDM bypassed, so I mean MDM bypass can be like many things. It depends on how like the device is like set up and stuff. Sometimes MDM bypass devices can still be MDM locked, and some like MDM bypass devices can actually be working fully good if you like try to reset it or like stuff. But yeah, this phone works fully good still. Next up, we have is an iPhone 10. This thing's 256 gigabyte, but unfortunately the battery health on this thing is like 74, so it does need to be replaced. Next up we have is an iPhone 11 Pro, 64GB space gray. Works fully good with no issue. Battery health is 81. Next up we have is a iPhone 11, 64GB black. This thing's on Straight Talk because I got this thing brand new like over a year ago. Works fully good with no issue. Battery health is 98. Okay. Now for my watches. So we have an Apple Watch Series SE first gen. Works fully good with no issues. I had this thing for over a year. For some reason, I don't want to use this thing that much. Maybe I should probably put the original band that came on this thing back. Probably because the band I wear is not comfortable. But I don't really feel any difference between this band because I got this band from Marshall's and the other one I have actually came with this one. So, and we also have a Minecraft watch that this one I actually got at a mall because I saw it's cool. A Minecraft watch. Okay, so now we're moving on to like the iPod and stuff. Now my iPod collection has been growing a lot comparing to my last collection videos that I made. So first up we have the iPod Nano 3rd Gen. It works fully good with no issues, but unfortunately the battery on this thing is like below this, so I can only use this thing when it's plugged in, which kind of sucks because this iPod has like some really good songs on here that I like. But yeah, I found like an iPod Classic and like 2 iPod Nanos in like a Target bin before, but those things had like issues. But this one works besides a swollen battery. Next up we have is an iPod Touch 1st Gen. This thing I got it from my friend, the Great Gamer. The background of this thing is like completely scratched, so that's why I put something custom on here, like I put Miku and stuff. Well, I didn't really put the figure Miku, I just wrote Miku and put it on the back, because the back is like all scratched up. You can barely see the iPod logo on here. But yeah, it works really good with no issues. It's actually jailbroken, or maybe the headphone thing doesn't work. But yeah, I guess it's cool to have an iPod Touch 1st Gen. Next up, we have an iPod Touch 2nd Gen, 32GB. Yeah, it's probably stone dead. 32GB, works fully good with no issues. Next up, we have another iPod Touch 2nd Gen, 8GB, works fully good with no issues. Next up, we have the iPod Touch 4th Gen, works fully good with no issues. This is actually one of my best iPod Touch 4th Gens I ever have. I mean, not I ever have, because I actually had some before this, so this is actually like my best condition ones I have like right now, and I actually really like it. This thing used to be on like iOS like 5 something, but I kind of updated, didn't realizing it was rare because it's a white one. Next up, we have another iPod Touch 4th Gen. This one I actually found in like the Target bin. It has some dead pixels up here, but it doesn't really affect the iPod, and it works fully good with no issues. Next up, we have another iPod Touch 4th Gen. Now this thing, unfortunately, the power button is not stuck, but the power button on it doesn't work. Like if I need to turn this on, I need to put this into a charger to get it on. Next up, we have an iPod Touch 5th Gen, 64GB pink, works fully good with no issues. I actually like the pink color in here, looks really cool. Next up, we have an iPod Touch 6th Gen, blue, 32GB, works fully good with no issues. And next up, we have the iPod Touch 7th Gen, 32GB gold. I actually had this one for over a year. I actually had this one before when Apple discontinued it, but it's nice to have it now. I'm definitely going to keep this thing for ever since Apple no longer sells it, and I don't want to spend like a pain of big money to go on Mercari and buy one, since those things are like expensive. Or if they're expensive and people sell them like new with like their original packaging and stuff. But yeah, this one I actually got it brand new before when it got discontinued. I got it on like December 2021 Christmas. Works fully good with no issues. Okay, now onto my Android phones and dumb phones. Okay, so here's my Android and dumb. Okay, so now we're on to like the Android and dumb phone collection. So, but first we're gonna start with like the Android devices first, then we're gonna move on to the dumb phones, and then lastly the iPads. So, first up, you have the Galaxy S2. I actually found this in the Target bin recently, but unfortunately, this phone was fully working with no issues before. But unfortunately, this phone was being like glitchy. Like it keeps saying that this app has closed, and then every time I press OK, this thing just keeps showing. So I got kind of sick of it. So I like water tested, and now the AMOLED on it died. So yeah. Next up, we have the Galaxy S4. Works fully good with no issues. Next up, we have the Galaxy S5 Active. Works fully good with no issues. Oh, you might be wondering this. This is actually a back cover for an S5. Fun fact, I think both of friend, my close friends had actually sent me a back cover for the S5, except this one actually came quicker, and so I put this one on, and then like after like almost 2 months, this came, and wow, like. Well, I would actually leave this one on because this one's actually in like more good condition than this one. But yeah, this one I can just keep it in case of this one like ever breaks or something. But yeah, but the S5 itself actually works really good with no issue. I used to have a white S5, but it broke on vacation with me. Like, it was actually like, it was actually like December when I traveled and stuff. Next up, we have the Galaxy S6. Works fully good with no issues. Next up, we have the Galaxy S7. This one I actually found in the Target bin because it has a because this one's on AT&T, and this one over here is also an S7. But this one I actually had it for like kind of a while. I had this thing since like October, and this one I found in like the Target bin some weeks ago. But yeah, it works fully good with no issues. Same thing as this one. Next up, we have the Galaxy S7 Edge. Now, this phone is actually very special because this phone has been traded to like many tech people, and now it's been traded to me, and I guess it's nice to have it. Plus, I actually like the S7 Edge because it's a really nice phone, and I like and I like this color as well. So yeah, it's nice to have a Galaxy S7 Edge. So yeah, next up we have the Galaxy Note 8. Works fully good with no issues. I was actually using this phone earlier for like music and stuff. But yeah, it works fully good. It has this little like tiny little hairline crack, but it doesn't really affect the phone that much. I think I forgot to flip these over, but okay, there we go. Next up is the Galaxy S10 pink, flamingo pink actually. It works fully good with no issues. I actually like this color, and the S10 is a really nice phone. And it's nice to have one. Next up, we have the Galaxy Note 3. Works fully good with no issues. Next up, we have the Galaxy Note 4. This thing originally did not have this one I actually found in the Target bin. Oh, also the Note 8 I found in the Target bin. The S10 I got it on Walmart. This one I got in a trade. The S7 I got it from a trade. And the S5 was also from the Target bin, and the S5 Active I got it on like Macari, and this one's also on like Macari. So yeah. So yeah, so here we have the Galaxy Note 4. It works fully good with no issues. This thing I found in the like Target bin, it originally did not come with like an S Pen, but my friend gave me an S Pen, And it also gave me this nice case for it as well. The Note 4 is actually a really nice phone, and yeah, this one I'm definitely going to be keeping. Next up, we have the Galaxy A03. Works really good with no issues. I got this thing brand new on Walmart. Next up, we have the Galaxy Grand Prime. Works fully good with no issues. Next up, we have the Galaxy J3 2016. Works fully good with no issues. Next up, we have the Galaxy J3 2017. Also works really good with no issues. Unfortunately, the screen and the home button is like really scratched out, but it doesn't really affect the phone that much, or really. So, next up, we have the Moto G7 Plus. Works fully good with no issues. Next up, we have a Moto X4. Works fully good with no issues. Next up, we have the Moto E5 Play. Works fully good with no issue. Fun fact, when I found this one, I also found like a gray one, but I smashed the gray one because the gray one was like already cracked and this one was in like better condition and stuff. This one originally came with swollen battery, but I forgot to save the battery on the gray one I smashed, so my friend actually sent me a battery for this, and this one actually works still. Fully good with no issues. Next up, we have the Moto E 2nd Gen. Works fully good with no issues, found in the Target bin. And over here we have two Moto G 1st Gens. One of them I got in a trade, but like one of them was for smashing, but it actually ended up working, and the other one I found in the Target bin. Next up, we have the Google Pixel 3. Works fully good with no issues. It's actually really fast. I would also, the best Android devices in my collection is the S10, Note 8, and Pixel 3 pretty much. I do like the other ones, but sometimes I kind of barely use them. Next up, we have the Galaxy J2. Unfortunately, this thing is like Google locked, and it's not really worth bypassing because it's kind of a meh phone. So, yeah. Next up, we have the LG slider phone. I found this in the Target bin recently as well. It works fully good with no issues. It had a pin, but I was actually able to reset it, and this thing did not get Google locked because this thing is on Android 4. I think only Android 5 and up gets Google lock and stuff. Over here we have three Kyro Zero phones, and they all work fully good with no issues. I didn't really get the chance to test out some of these because I'm probably gonna keep finding more of these phones. But these phones are actually really cool. I like these phones still. Next up, we have the Hawaii phone. Works fully good with no issues. The next up, we have an AS phone. I actually found this phone like recently. I didn't really care to test this because this phone's kind of garbage. Oh, and I also have some dummy phones here. So we have a dummy S9 Plus. I wish I had a real working one, but oh well, it's cool at least. We have a Note 10 Plus, which is also unfortunately a dummy phone, but the rainbow color still looks cool. And we have a dummy S21 Plus. You might think this is real, but it's a dummy phone, of course. So, yeah. And I have a Galaxy Z Flip, and I also have two dummy Galaxy Z Flip here. Dummy Galaxy Z Flip are actually still fun to play with. So we have a dummy Z Flip 4 and a dummy Z Flip 3 5G. They're so cool to play with though. I actually want to keep these. Okay, so for the dumb phones, we have three of these. Fun fact, all of these three exact same phone were actually found at the same Target at almost on the same day, but I think most of these work except for one of these doesn't work, and there was actually like one more of these that doesn't have the sprint. That doesn't have the sprint icon on here, but unfortunately that's the thing I smashed it because the screen is like busted on it. Like not the top one, like the inside part of the screen is busted, so it felt useless. But for like the working ones here, it actually has some like really good ringtones on it and stuff. So yeah. Next up we have is this phone. It's like some like Nokia phone, but well, I actually found it like this. Like it's like almost coming apart. I don't have a charger to test this, unfortunately. So I guess this thing's kind of junk. Next up, we have a Samsung Java phone. It works good with no issues. Next up, we have the LG Rumor. I think this thing works, but I haven't really fully tested it. But it works. Next up we have is this phone. This one I found in the Target bin recently. This one actually got charged when I found it, but it works. Next up we have this phone. Not sure if it works. I think this one does. I remember. We have this LG. We have this LG phone. This one's actually really cool, and it works. This one. I don't want to say. I'm not sure if this one works or not. Some of these downloads I could have untested, but I've tried to test most of these as I can. This one works. This one doesn't work. This one somehow doesn't work. Or maybe I didn't really test this charging enough. Next up we have this one. This one actually has some classical music on the ringtone. I actually like this phone because it has some good ringtones on it. So we have this little LG phone, works good with no issue. We have this LG phone, also works. LG flip phone. We have this phone, Boost mobile phone. It works. And we have these two phones. That also works, except this one actually came with a stolen battery, but these two are actually both the same, so yeah. Okay, so we have an iPad 2, 16GB, works fully good with no issues. We have an iPad 4, 16GB, works fully good with no issues. We have an iPad Air 2, works fully good. 120GB, space gray, no issue. iPad Mini 4, 120GB gold, works fully good with no issue. iPad Mini 2. Hold on, there's a FaceTime notification. Works fully good with no issue. 32GB. I put a nice Miku picture on the back. Well, on the back of the case, yeah. Next up, we have an iPad 6th Gen. Oh my, hold on, don't want to show that. iPad 6th Gen, 128GB, space gray, works fully good with no issue. And lastly, we have is an iPad 9th Gen, 64GB, space gray, works fully good with no issues. Okay guys, so that is pretty much it for my entire device collection of of May 2022. I hope you guys like this video. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys for my next video. Bye.